Joining me now, Heritage Foundation Senior Legal Fellow and former Department of Justice lawyer Hans von Spakovsky. Hans, great to see you.
Hi, Greg.
It looks like Democrats are just trying to get Mueller to regurgitate in the form of sound bites what's in his report. They're looking for sound bites. They want to play it over and over. There's a psychological term for it, a semantic satiation. It's like lifting a barbell. You eventually get tired. So
right.
Aren't people already tired of it?
Well, the American people certainly are. It's very clear that once he issued the report, that should have been the end of the investigation because, as we all know now, he found that the Russian election collusion claim was a complete hoax, and there wasn't sufficient evidence to show any obstruction of justice. Look, if Democrats expect something different, something they're going to be able to use against the president, I think they're going to be disappointed if Mueller does what he promised. Remember, he held a press conference in which he said if he's called to testify, he was going to stick to the four corners of his report, that the report spoke for itself, right, and that he wasn't going to go beyond that.
Yeah, I mean, if they expect him to say, oh, yeah, there was obstruction of justice, then those Dems are smoking something, and you know what.
Right.
All right, so I got to ask you about the ever sanctimonious James Comey. He's at it again.
Right.
He's now penned a column that is entitled, I think it's entitled, "The Questions I Would Ask Mueller." Think about the insanity of this. This is a guy who stole government documents, presidential memos, then deliberately leaked them to the media to trigger the appointment of Bob Mueller, his longtime friend and colleague, to investigate the man who fired James Comey. And this knucklehead has the temerity to be now feeding questions to Bob Mueller. What do you make of that?
Well, it's just amazing how much James Comey has totally destroyed his reputation as a professional with his bias and partisanship. And the real question that needs to be answered, which he hasn't answered, is how in the world it was that he approved FBI agents working for him submitting applications to the FISA court to start the electronic surveillance of the Trump campaign when they were certifying under oath that they had verified the facts and claims being made in those applications. And as we now know, it was all based on the unverified Steele dossier, nothing else. And it's very clear that they abused their authority under the law. And who was it that approved that? James Comey.
Well, of course, he signed the first 3 FISA warrants. And you know what he'll say. Oh, he'll either plead ignorance or amnesia. He'll say, well, I don't really remember that. Yeah, I think I may have read the document, but I was relying on other people, which, by the way, under the law is not a defense. Here's my favorite question that is in Comey's list of questions to ask Bob Mueller. This is my favorite one. You got to love this. There it is on the screen. In particular, did you find that a Trump foreign policy advisor learned that the Russians had dirt on Hillary Clinton in the form of thousands of emails? It's not a crime, Mr. Comey, to hear a rumor. But Comey knows apparently nothing about the law, and so he used that allegedly as a pretext to investigate the president in direct violation of the federal regulations, didn't he?
Yeah, he did, and it wasn't just Donald Trump, but remember, they used that also as a pretext to investigate Michael Flynn, the fact that he was talking to the Russian ambassador. There's nothing illegal about that. They had no basis to even start that investigation of Flynn.